Fenian was an umbrella term for the Fenian Brotherhood, an Irish Republican brotherhood, fraternal organisations dedicated to the establishment of an independent Irish republic in the 19th and early 20th century. The name Fenian was first applied by John O'Mahony to the members of the Irish Republican group that he founded in the United States in 1848. O'Mahony, who was a Celtic scholar, named the American wing of the movement after the Fianna. In Gaelic Ireland, these were warrior bands of young men who lived apart from society and could be called upon in times of war. The term Fenian is still used today, especially in Northern Ireland and Scotland, where its original meaning has widened to include all supporters of Irish nationalism. It has also been used as a demeaning term for Irish Catholics and Catholics in general in the British Isles. Irish nationalists, while honouring the 19th-century Fenians, more often describe themselves as nationalist, or republican. Fenianism, according to O'Mahony, is symbolised by two principles: firstly, that Ireland has a natural right to independence, and secondly, that this right could be won only by an armed revolution. The term Fenianism was sometimes used by the British political establishment in the 1860s for any form of mobilisation among the lower classes or those who expressed any Irish nationalist sentiments. They warned people about this threat to turn decent civilised society on its head, such as that posed by trade unionism to the existing social order in the United Kingdom. Ireland. James Stephens, one of the men of 1848, had established himself in Paris, and was in correspondence with John O'Mahony in the United States and other advanced nationalists at home and abroad. This would include the Phoenix National and Literary Society, with Jeremiah Donovan among its more prominent members, had recently been formed at Skibbereen. Along with Thomas Clark Luby, John O'Leary and Charles Kickham, he founded the Irish Republican Brotherhood on March 17, 1858 in Lombard Street, Dublin. United States. The Fenian Brotherhood, the Irish Republican Brotherhood's U.S. branch, was founded by John O'Mahony and Michael Doheny, both of whom had been out in 1848. In the face of nativist suspicion, it quickly established an independent existence, although it still worked to gain Irish-American support for armed rebellion in Ireland. Initially, O'Mahony ran operations in the U.S., sending funds to Stephens and the IRB in Ireland. Disagreement over O'Mahony's leadership led to the formation of two Fenian brotherhoods in 1865. The U.S. chapter of the movement was also sometimes referred to as the IRB. After the failed invasion of Canada, it was replaced by Clan na Gael. Canada. In Canada, Fenian is used to designate a group of Irish radicals, aka the American branch of the Fenian Brotherhood in the 1860s. They made several attempts to invade some parts of the province of Canada which were a British dominion at the time. The ultimate goal of the Fenian raids was to hold Canada hostage and therefore be in a position to blackmail the United Kingdom to give Ireland its independence. Because of the invasion attempts, support and/or collaboration for the Fenians in Canada became very rare even among the Irish. Francis Bernard McNamee, the man who started the Fenian movement in Montreal, was a case in point. In public, he proclaimed his loyalty to the Queen and called for an Irish militia company to defend Canada against the Fenians. In private, he wrote that the real purpose of an Irish militia company would be to assist the Fenian invasion, adding for good measure that if the government denied his request he would raise the cry of anti-Irish Catholic discrimination and bring more of his aggrieved countrymen into the Fenian Brotherhood. A suspected Fenian, Patrick J. Whelan, was hanged in Ottawa for the assassination of Irish-Canadian politician, Thomas D'Arcy McGee in 1868, who had been a member of the Irish Confederation in the 1840s. The danger posed by the Fenian raids was an important element in motivating the British North America colonies to consider a more centralised defence for mutual protection, which was ultimately realised through Canadian Confederation. England. The Fenians in England and the Empire were a major threat to political stability. In the late 1860s the IRB control centre was in Lancashire. In 1868 the Supreme Council of the IRB, the provisional government of the Irish Republic, was restructured. The four Irish provinces, Connacht, Leinster, Ulster and Munster, Scotland, the north of England and the south of England, including London, had representatives on the council. Later 4 honorary members were co-opted. The council elected 3 members to the executive. The president was chairman, the treasurer managed recruitment and finance, and the secretary was director of operations. There were IRB circles in every major city in England. In 1867, 3 Fenians, William Philip Allen, Michael O'Brien, and Michael Larkin, known as the Manchester Martyrs, were executed in Salford for their attack on a police van to release Fenians held captive earlier that year. Contemporary usage. Northern Ireland equals, in Northern Ireland, Fenian is used by some as a derogatory word for Catholics. Scotland equals. The term Fenian is used similarly in Scotland. During Scottish football matches it is often aimed in a sectarian manner at supporters of Celtic FC. Celtic has its roots in Glasgow's immigrant Catholic Irish population, and the club has thus been associated with Irish nationalism, symbolised by the almost universal flying of the Irish tricolour during matches. Other Scottish clubs that have Irish roots, such as Hibernian and Dundee United, do not have the term applied to them, however. The term is now firmly rooted within the old firm rivalry between Celtic and Rangers, as a rivalry between orange and green has been replaced by one between blue and green. Australia equals. In Australia, Fenian is used as a pejorative term for those members of the Australian Labor Party who have Australian Republican views similar to those who support Irish unification. Michael Atkinson, Attorney General of South Australia, spoke of those members of the ALP who wished to remove the title Queen's Counsel and other references to the Crown as Fenians and Bolsheviks in a speech given at the ALP convention in Adelaide on October 15, 2006. Atkinson made a further mention of Fenianism when the title of Queen's Counsel was abolished. Quotations, "The Fenians were the best men in Irish politics." Attributed to Isaac Butt, B. O'Brien, The Life of Charles Stewart Parnell, 1846–1891, pages 63. The Fenian is the artist in Irish politics. He is an inspiration, an ornament, a hero. Liam O'Flaherty, The Life of Tim Mullite. 40. The fools, the fools, the fools. They have left us our Fenian dead, and while Ireland holds these graves, Ireland unfree shall never be at peace. Padraig Pearse's graveside oration at the reinterment of Jeremiah Donovan Ross's remains in Glasnevin Cemetery in August 1915. Cultural references, in Anthony Trollope's The Eustace Diamonds, Lord George de Bruce Carruthers, an Irish peer, is a man about town with no visible means of income. He is a bitter radical and was suspected even of Republican sentiments, and ignorant young men about London hinted that he was the grand centre of the British Fenians. A full description follows. Arthur Conan Doyle's Touch and Go, A Midshipman's Story, was published in 1886, the year the first Home Rule Bill was introduced in the House of Commons. Set in 1868, a young midshipman and his 2 companions are shipwrecked on the Irish Sea. A launch carrying the IRB leader, a Fenian head centre James Stephens, a middle-aged man in dark clothes and a grey overcoat, rescues them. Stephens puts the young midshipman and his friends ashore on the Isle of Man and asks for their silence. Joseph Conrad's The Secret Agent, published in 1907 but set in 1886, takes place against the background of terrorist bombings in Britain. Although Conrad's bombers are anarchists, most critics agree that the Fenian bombings are a significant part of his inspiration, especially as international anarchist terrorism in the 19th century had comparatively little impact in Britain compared to the Fenian campaigns. In the 2011 Christmas Day special of the television series Downton Abbey, Lord Grantham, after learning of the pregnancy of his daughter Sybil, who is married to an Irish revolutionary, says, "So, we're to have a Fenian grandchild." His wife, Lady Grantham, replies, "Cheer up. Come the revolution, it may be useful to have a contact on the other side." In the 2014 Christmas Day special of the television series Downton Abbey, Mr. Stowell, Lord Sinderby's butler, condescendingly wonders if Mr. Branson would be picking up the grouses or reading Motor magazine when the others are shooting. Upon hearing that he is, in fact, a very good shot, Stowell remarks, "Is he, indeed? I suppose that was his training with the Fenians, with obvious disdain for both Branson's Irish nationalism and his previous employment as a low-ranking chauffeur. The term is used in the movie Patriot Games. In the movie, when captured after a botched attempt against a royal's life, a separatist group member is interrogated, and during this period is slapped and called a Fenian bastard by one of his British captors. Down by the Glenside is an Irish rebel song written by Peadar Kearney, an Irish Republican and composer of numerous rebel songs, including the Soldier's Song, and the Tricoloured Ribbon. The term is frequently used in the BBC's 2013 series Peaky Blinders. In the series, a family of Birmingham gangsters are pursued by Major Chester Campbell, a police officer reassigned from his Belfast home to deal with Birmingham's criminality, who applies the strategies he had previously used in repressing Republican agitation in Ireland. See also, Take. Footnotes. References. Sean Cronin, The Magurity Papers, Anvil Books, Ireland, 1972, P.S. O'Garty, A History of Ireland Under the Union, Methuen and Company, Robert Key, The Bold Fenian Men, Quartet Books, ISBN 0-7043-3096-2, M. J. Kelly, The Fenian Ideal in Irish Nationalism, 1882–1916, Boydell and Brewer, 2006, ISBN 1-84383-445-6, Michael Kenny, The Fenians, The National Museum of Ireland in association with Country House, Dublin. 1994, ISBN 0-946172-42-0, Owen McGee, The IRB, The Irish Republican Brotherhood from the Land League to Sinn Féin. Copyright in, Four Courts Press, 2005, ISBN 1-85182-972-5, Leon O'Brien, Fenian Fever, An Anglo-American Dilemma, Chatto and Windus, London, 1971, ISBN 0-7011-1749-4. Martyrama Cubed N, A Provisional Dictator, James Stephens and the Fenian Movement, University College Dublin Press, ISBN 978-1-904558-64-4, Mark F. Ryan, Fenian Memories, edited by T. F. O'Sullivan, M. H. Gill and Son, Limited, Dublin, 1945, Desmond Ryan, The Fenian Chief, A Biography of James Stephens, Helithom Limited, Dublin, 1967, Mitchell Snay. Fenians, Freedmen, and Southern Whites, Race and Nationality in the Era of Reconstruction, Feninim Hirishiagas and Ailge, Fionu Olavi Flynn Nagan, OCLC 300 5,144,100, Jane Stanford That Irishman The Life and Times of John O'Connor Power, The History Press Ireland, Dublin 2011, ISBN 978-1-84588-698-1, Patrick Stewart and Brian McGowan, The Fenians, Irish Rebellion in the North Atlantic World, 1858–1876. Knoxville, Tennessee, University of Tennessee Press, 2013. The Fenians in Context Irish Politics and Society 1848–82, Dublin, R. V. Comerford, 1985. Patrick Quinlavin and Paul Rose, The Fenians in England. Niall Whelan, The Dynamiters, Irish Nationalism and Political Violence in the Wider World, 1867–1900. Thompson, Francis John. Fenianism and the Celtic Renaissance. A dissertation studying the interrelation between the exponents of physical force and the literature produced in, or about, Ireland during the period between 1858 and 1916. University of South Florida Tampa Library, New York University, pages 1281, 5 vols. Thompson, Francis John. Francis J. Thompson Diary. A Journal of Francis Thompson Research for Fenianism and the Celtic Renaissance. University of South Florida Tampa Library. Pages 229. External links, Fenians.org, Fenian Brotherhood, BBC History article on the Irish Republican Brotherhood, 1865 newspaper article describing the Fenians, History Learning Site Ireland 1848–1922, The Fenian Movement, The Fenian Movement in the U.S. including digitized materials about their activities. From the Immigration to the United States, 1789 a 1930 collection, Harvard University Library Open Collections Program.